You ready? Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Belinda Savage, and I'm with M2 Trust. And I've come to you with a great new investment tool, which most people are not aware of. And that is you're allowed to use your tax deferred portfolios to invest in real estate and private lending. But I'm going to show you some strategies today I don't think most people are showing you. And there's certainly an enormous investment with this realm of the alternative asset space. So there's over $26 trillion within the IRAs, pension plans, 401ks, and just any type of private retirement accounts that can be utilized with regard to a real estate investor or a note investor. And so I'm here to show you some of those accounts, but I want to move ahead and let you understand that the alternative asset space is truly any type of asset within the American Main Street realm where you're investing into commercial buildings, marinas, hotels. You can do startups. You can create Airbnbs. And so I'm here to show you some of obviously, some of the very hot spots throughout the country, which will be very formidable in terms of your strategies because there's going to be double-digit returns in a lot of these places. So I'm just going to list things. I don't really follow my slides. I'm actually going to talk outside of my slides, and hopefully you're going to gather all this information. Right now, there is approximately 7% of the population knows about self-directed and tax-deferred portfolios that not only invest in real estate and private notes, but they stay tax-deferred for the entire time that you have them invested. So I wanted to go beyond the fact that there's certain contribution amounts, because a lot of you are W-2 investors right now. You still have jobs, you're trying to evolve into the space where you're full-time real estate or note investors. So the traditional and Roth, you can only put in $6,000 per year, but if you're 50 and above, you're allowed to put $7,000, just to give you an understanding of that. But if you are self-employed, you're a consultant, or if you have a real estate company on the side, or you're mentoring people on the side as a consultant, you're allowed to place 25% of your compensation into what is called a SEP IRA. And you also get to write that off your taxes each year. So just know that it's a very powerful tool. And I love speaking to you individually. So at the end of my presentation, you're going to have my contact information, because it's all about finding out who you are, what you're doing now, how you intend to build the bridge from where you currently hold your tax-deferred accounts, maybe over at Fidelity or Vanguard, or perhaps at a bank or an annuity, or maybe it's in a private defined benefit pension plan, which a lot of professionals use. And I'm going to show you how to take it from Wall Street into Main Street and keep it in a platform that is so dynamic, because right now in the alternative asset space, which is defined as anything that's away from Wall Street, constitutes $64 trillion, which is enormous in terms of the growth that's gone on over the last 10 years since the breakdown of the markets in '08, '09, and 2010. So I literally put on workshops, by the way, at Long Island REA, headed up by Melissa Shea. Also, Mark Valenti, who heads up Connecticut REA. Scott Forge out of Central Jersey REA. And of course, I come on Nick's events in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York. And we also attend Paper Source. We are actually sponsors over there. And Paper Source is one of the greatest note platforms in the country. And they have pushed their paper, their annual conference to October, just to let you know. So I keep track of all these different conferences throughout the country and also workshops so that you also get to become involved. And we even have every Thursday tidbits for notes coming out of the West Coast with the Revival Brothers. And I have so many great contacts so that you'll get to know this if you'll get in touch with me. And hopefully we're going to sit down and chat just one-on-one. It's all about finding out who you are, what you're doing, where do you want to go. And that requires a number of questions that have to be asked. So as you can see, the alternative asset space is all about you gaining more control as opposed to a financial advisor or even an attorney or a CPA. So I want to tell you that you bring them onto your team, so to speak, but they do not have to actually always be your mentors because you're going to become educated in a very short amount of time where you will utilize their expertise, but more and more you're going to gain great education and skills as a talented real estate investor or a private note investor or a private lender. And it's all because of attending these types of educational platforms. It's a great way to become very engaged. And then you also get to mix with people from the business who have a lot of experience. It's very important. So this slide in particular, I wanted you to see how it comes from the brokerage account, from the bank, or an IRA that's being held at a mutual fund, perhaps, or a bank, even in a CD. All transfers from Wall Street are non-taxable when it comes into what we call the self-directed platform. So it's very powerful because most people think that that's a taxable event, and it is not. This has been going on, by the way, since 1974 under ERISA legislation that was created by Congress to minimize companies literally stealing from their pension plans and utilizing it for their operating capital. So under ERISA, there was also the wonderful tribute to Americans being able to privately set aside savings into an individual retirement account. And then later on, there became another very dynamic account called the Roth. So with the regular IRA, you actually are tax deferring all of your growth and your investments. So you're paying the tax as you distribute the account on your way out, when you're retiring, when you reach 59 and a half, or you're trying to put together other type of investments. But a Roth, you actually pay the tax up front on your contributions, and your whole account grows tax exempt for the rest of your life. And so one of the greatest stories that we have, I have the privilege of talking about, is the fact that the PayPal guys literally were my clients for 10 years. And so we started PayPal out with $2,000 in each of the founders' accounts, and they bought their PayPal stock. So that is considered intellectual property. And it is held within the self-directed IRA account. And then 5 years after they had established these accounts, eBay came along, bought their founder stock, and then began to deposit into their individual retirement accounts between $8 and $32 million. The beauty of it is they will never pay Uncle Sam $1 of tax, no matter how large the accounts grow to. So you need to think about not only opening up perhaps like a traditional and a SEP IRA, but think about opening up a Roth. And what we're demonstrating here very quickly is the fact that you can invest directly into the real estate, which is on the lower left-hand side of your screen. And then you may also invest into an LLC, depending upon what kind of state you're in and the types of fees that are charged. And you can utilize it because it has checkbook control. But then there's another way to invest, and that's called an IRA business trust. And I'm going to talk about the trust because it has checkbook control, but it also contains anonymity for you as the investor. And that's pretty exciting. So I mentioned to be a successful entrepreneur, a real estate investor, a note investor today, you really have to look around and find people who are educated, who have the expertise, the understanding of how to position yourself in this marketplace. So I truly encourage you, question, interview, find out who are your part. How do you build this trustworthy group of professionals? How are they going to serve you? And so that's something else that we do have at M2 is a long list of attorneys throughout the country, tax advisors, New York and New Jersey. I have a multitude of them. I also have general contractors, real estate agents who can provide their type of expertise. When you come into this market, you're going to need their skills. So that's something to think about. I really want you to exercise the fact that you got to think about time and money. And of course, your talents, which are growing each day because you're going to go to different portions of the transactions, which will demand your time and your due diligence. So keep your mind on the deal, not on the money. The money will come eventually. It's something most people tend to always want is how much money am I going to make? The money will be there. It's a matter of making sure you understand the contract and the terms of that contract. So I'm just going to go through this kind of a little bit faster because I want you to get to the point where I have some really fine strategies which we put together. And I want to emphasize that your communication skills are vital in terms of understanding how to speak to other investors who will be working with you or coming alongside of you. And I will say to you that this is where in your communication, you will bring forth the fact that you are very transparent in all of your transactions and that you want to be very upfront. Tell them everything that you've done, even your failures, because a failure means that you've learned something in the trenches. That's what a way I see it. And you must lead by example. We don't talk down to people. Let's consider the fact that they may have something very worthwhile to bring to the table or into your project. So it's all about finding the right people to enhance this whole idea of investing in the alternative asset space. And needless to say, you're going to be increasing your skills and your talents every day. You're going to become more creative. You're going to really do more due diligence. And by going to a lot of the real estate investor groups, it's very important. And there's so many great mentors out there. So I want to address the fact that you can do LLCs and you can establish a limited liability company by going to a Department of Corporations or the state secretary's office to establish a limited liability company, but you are divulging a lot of personal information. Yes, there is asset protection, but you may want to consider opening up a business trust. And there's a reason why, because you do have anonymity, but you also have checkbook control. And by the way, there's a number of banks that are out there that will take your LLC or business trust as into their checking services. And we have those for you if you'll get in touch with me. And we want to also show you that this is not difficult. It is just a procedure. Once you learn this process, you're going to become very dynamic in how you produce great growth during your whole experience of the alternative asset space. The only prohibitive transactions I want to talk about is the fact that if a parent owns a real estate piece, maybe it's a vacation